The Northern Ireland Youth Forum is made up of young people.
It's a youth-led organisation.
We're also described as a RVYO, which is a regional voluntary youth organisation.
From all over Northern Ireland, aged between 11 and 25, from all different backgrounds, Catholic and Protestant.
And they're responsible for carrying out the roles of running the organisation.
So we promote the rights of young people and we lobby politicians and we run campaigns in order to bring awareness to the rights of young people in Northern Ireland. Last year the Northern Ireland Youth Forum worked with 39,173 young people from all across Northern Ireland.
The Executive Committee is made up of 17 young people.
They're elected every 2 years. There's an AGM meeting, so we have to basically try and get elected onto it.
They plan the strategic direction of the organisation. They deal with the corporate side of the Youth Forum and make sure that it's a viable organisation. And they also lead the charge on campaigns, on our relationship with external agencies and on lobbying decision makers.
Tell me what you want, tell me that you need me. I've been waiting all night for you to, tell me what you want.
Well, our core work is all around participation. So for the Youth Forum, participation means young people's involvement in the decision-making process, and we're passionate about that. I think it's important that young people are close to the policy-making process. So our core funding, which comes from the Youth Council for Northern Ireland, allows us to engage with and support our executive committee in the work that they do. So that will include lobbying and campaigning. It will include working on north, south, east, west and international basis.
Over the last year we've seen a marked increase in the number of peace building projects in areas like Armagh, Craigavon, Carrickfergus, Antrim, Newton Abbey, Fermanagh and Cookstown. We've developed programmes, both cross-community and single identity cultural awareness programmes. It's about helping them to learn more about their own cultures and other people so that they feel capable of engaging with each other.
So the individual projects I've been working on specifically is working the North East Peace 3 partnership area, which is 2 projects specifically. One's around detached young people and the other is around young people in peer leadership. And there's been work in other areas. We've been doing work funded through Youth Council Northern Ireland. One's around looking, I suppose, at different groups and around peace building. One's with young people who are involved in loyalist flute bands. So we're doing a research project into, I suppose, looking at why young people get involved in flute bands, what are some of the benefits, what are some of the community benefits, and loads of different stuff, just trying to tell that story. And the other piece of work we're doing is around young people involved in Irish medium work. One of the simple things we're doing is around some of the materials that we've developed for young people here in youth forums and youth councils. We've translated into Irish and looking to support work around developing an Irish medium youth forum as well.
Can Detached project is a Peace 3 project, which was looking at 6 areas across Carrickfergus, Antrim, Newton Abbey, working with 6 groups of young people. And eventually it was about bringing those groups together.
One thing that all those programmes we tend to have in common is that they're youth-led, they're community-based, and they're very much about equipping people to come up with solutions to the difficulties that they face.
One of the projects I was involved in was Donegal Youth Council. It's a project called HULA. So UKYP stands for United Kingdom Youth Parliament. Is 600 young people from Scotland, Wales, England, Northern Ireland who were elected to represent the views of young people.
I've been working a lot with public bodies and making sure that young people's voices are heard within those. 2 of the main projects that we have are working with TransLink on the TransLink Youth Forum, and then working with the Northern Ireland Housing Executive on developing products for young people to help them learn about the different options in housing and the different expectations that landlords and the housing executive would have. We have a group of young people who come together 6 times a year. They look at issues around transport and what they can do about them. They were part of a group that developed the Y-Link card, which gives young people 33% off all forms of public transport.
Champions for Change essentially is working with young people who would be described as NEET, which is not in education, employment or training. It's a joint programme between the Northern Ireland Youth Forum and Bates, and it's sponsored by Big Lottery. And essentially the Champions for Change programme has 4 elements to it.
One of the elements of Champions for Change is personal change, and that's around confidence and self-esteem building within the young people.
Peer change, which is about how you can influence others.
Community change, which is how you can make your area better for others.
Society change is about young people influencing the government. We've been involved in two major campaigns. The first one was the Votes at 16 lobby that was taken up in Northern Ireland by the Youth Forum and as part of a wider UK-wide campaign. We lobbied decision makers from MPs, MLAs, even councillors. We appeared on radio, in news media across the region. The second campaign was the campaign to introduce legislation for equal marriage.
Built up a lot of relationships with the Northern Ireland Youth Forum this year. There's the MLAs in Stormont due to our campaigns, and that's also helped us build relationships with social servants and MLAs and MPs across all parties. We also have relationships with British Youth Council, who are involved with UK Youth Parliament, and we've members on their Board of Trustees. And we've also built up relationships with other organisations within the voluntary sector, and we're held with high regard in those.
All of your flaws and all of my flaws, they lie there hand in hand. Ones we've inherited, ones that we learned.
So in the coming year, we'll set the stall out. We want to engage in more north-south work.
So the Northern Ireland Youth Congress is going to be a body of 54 young people elected in 18 constituencies across Northern Ireland.
Yeah, over the next year we're hoping to make the Youth Forum more sustainable.
The North-South Youth Forum, so hopefully it would shadow something like the North-South Ministerial Council. So young people would have the opportunity to come together on a cross-island basis, a cross-border basis.
Over the next year we are doing a lot of exciting projects. First of all, we're supporting the Big If campaign, which is a collection of charities from around the world who are aiming to reduce world hunger and poverty.
We're going to be actively involved in the campaign to introduce a soft opt-out system for organ donation. Obviously, young people are affected just as much as any other group.
We are aiming to reduce youth unemployment in Northern Ireland through the European Youth Guarantee Scheme and through lobbying the Department of Employment and Learning.